You are listening to Ideas and Leaders podcast. I'm Elena Paweta, Executive Communication Coach and TEDx organizer. With each episode, I'll share with you communication tips and ideas from top business leaders to help you excel in your career. Welcome to another episode of Ideas and Leaders podcast. Today we have Jason Azevedo as a guest, and we are going to speak about especially about manufacturing and entrepreneurship, because Jason actually is in business since his early age, and he has been successful. By 18, he already was doing millions in business, and he's owning a manufacturing company based in Silicon Valley, California. And I would really love to hear more about this. Hi, Jason. It's great to have you on the podcast.
How's it going?
Great.
I'm excited to be on here.
Yeah, great. Great that you're here because we have a lot of guests. But now I can see that people tend to have business in services and IT businesses, and not so many people are courageous enough to start manufacturing businesses. So I would really love to hear your story. How did you decide to start in business? What motivated you, and how did you get to where you are right now?
Well, yes, manufacturing is definitely something that not a lot of, you don't get as many people jumping into, especially nowadays. So we got our start back, I was 15, my brother was 20. And we started a t-shirt printing company of all things. And that company kind of morphed and built. And as we grew it, we started to learn that there were certain tricks and like processes that you could put into a manufacturing plant and make it more and more successful and stronger, more profitable. So what happened with that is we started learning other parts of manufacturing and go, okay, well, how about sheet metal? How about plastics? How about printing? And what we started to learn, it's a good rule just in business, you start looking for those common denominators and where every different style really makes sense. Because at the end of the day, when you're running a business, it's often like a recipe. You've got kind of a bunch of ingredients. The really good cooks can play with ingredients that other people don't understand or don't see, and they can do it straight from their hip. The people who aren't so good can take all the best ingredients in the world, but they can't follow a recipe correctly. So we just continually do that with businesses. And like you said, like you touched on, there's not a ton of people running into manufacturing. So with our private equity fund, what we've actually started doing is from where we used to build manufacturing companies, and now our primary focus is we're out buying legacy manufacturing companies that are oftentimes the owners are ready to retire, but there's not a huge pack of people coming in to buy these because people have a lot of kind of preconceived notions of that industry. So we have a great opportunity to buy these great profitable companies and bolt them together.
Yeah, this is such an interesting story that, and you started when you were 15, right?
Yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah. So do you think that, what did you learn when starting a business at such a young age? Do you think that it gave you, deeper insight to business right now?
Yeah. So I'll kind of set the stage a little bit. And I think most people can remember this time. We started a business in February of 2007. And as everyone knows, come towards the end of 2007, early 2008, the markets all drop out. So we got a bunch of people around us telling us, oh no, it's a horrible time to start a business. You guys you're gonna lose everything you have. But of course, every person who's telling us this is someone who's never done it before. It's people who've never ran a business, never focused on that being their skill set, but they're, oh no, 5,000 reasons why you're going to fail. Well, I remember my brother and I turning to each other and going, we have $600. we're going to lose everything. What? So being that young, you have so little to risk and so little to lose that you can get scrappy. I mean, we never took money out of our businesses and just kept the cash flowing because that's what was funding all of our growth. And that's stuff that at older ages, when you have a family relying on you, that's harder to do. When you're 15, I mean, who cares? It's really not going to be your risk is very, very low. So I'm very glad we started at that age. There's of course pitfalls where, hey, we've never had real jobs. So it's sometimes been weird to be like, what is it to work for other people? So there's trade-offs.
Yeah, yeah. And I like your analogy that you said that business is like having this recipe with all the ingredients. And I think that in the beginning, when you start, especially when you start at a young age, but in any age, I would say, there are a lot of ingredients that you don't know, what are the ingredients and what to do actually. So how do you think we can cope with such an uncertainty that we don't know what to do sometimes?
So I like that. I like your word uncertainty, because you will never get past uncertainty. You will forever be uncertain. And there will always be new tools coming out. And I mean, there's new debt mechanisms even that come out on businesses and all sorts of stuff. So really, it's just kind of starting, especially if you're starting young or any age for that matter. Go talk to people. The amount of times that I see people that don't feel comfortable talking to what they perceive as their competitors, or people in other industries. Like we're in manufacturing, very, very focused in manufacturing, but some of the best tools and knowledge that I use every day, I actually have gotten from friends that are in the tech sector, because the manufacturing sector doesn't do things that way. But we were able to take tidbits from other industries and plug them in. So really just sharing as much information and get your ego in check and be able to tell people, I'm having this problem. And you'd be amazed how many people will come in and help you. And especially at that starting phase, because at the end of the day, when you're starting, you're really not a threat to anybody. So everyone will work with you. As you get bigger and bigger and bigger, now you become a threat, and now people are afraid to go against you and afraid to share information with you. Even no matter what size we are at, I always feel free to share information with people because I hope that they would share it with me back. But at that smaller stage, people get excited to help you because it's like, I can make an influence on this and save you 5 years of headache. So really, it's just get the ego in check, understand that everybody's uncertain. This is not, there's nobody sitting there going, I've figured it all out. That it's just not the case.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that so many people underestimate having a mentor, having a coach, and just asking someone for advice, someone who already been there. Many people think that, oh, now I'm on my own, I need to figure it all out. But in fact, a lot of people are willing to help, willing to share their knowledge. And even myself, I've been through a couple of business coaching programs, and when people reach out to me and they say, can you help me, I'm just giving them this knowledge. I'm not only I'm recommending them some of the programs, of course, but I'm sharing the knowledge myself. And I do it very often for free with my friends, with people that I know, because this is how we support each other, right? I'm supporting people and they're supporting me back. So I totally agree with you on this. And Jason, I wanted to ask you about your passion for revitalizing manufacturing, what you're doing. So why do you think that it is important now, especially that we have this trend that we don't do manufacturing in-house. We are ordering something that might be cheaper, and you have this passion for actually revitalizing manufacturing in the US. So why and what benefits do you see in this?
So I want to touch on that. There's a misnomer that you touched on that a lot of people are still repeating, and it's that it's cheaper to produce somewhere else. That is not necessarily the case, and oftentimes it actually is fiscally more viable to produce in the US than other places. If someone doesn't believe that, there's a really easy example. The #1 contract manufacturer in China is building a production plant in Wisconsin. So other groups have now ran the numbers and figured out it's in the US. But what does that mean? And that's where the revitalization part has to come in. And what I'm so passionate about is you can't just do it the way you've always done it and then also expect it to be fiscally viable. That has limited innovation, limited growth. What's got to happen is there's a transition point right now where the technology, automation, all of that barrier to entry is drastically dropped down because of worldwide economics, transportation costs, the fact that the US consumes so many products. It is better to do it closer to home. The metrics on that are just very, very clear. So how do you revitalize these companies? And like I said, we go and we buy very good, profitable, strong American manufacturers. And usually the owner has done a great job and has decided, hey, I'm about to retire. I don't want to go through the energy of getting this company to the next decade and bringing in all that bringing in tech, bringing in processes, changing how things function. So we come in and go, hey, let us take your legacy and let's bring it forward to that next sector. And you can revitalize the people, the businesses, if most people, when they think of a factory or manufacturing plant, they have a very old picture in their head, very dark, dingy, grease being thrown around all over the place. Well, if you look at the inside of one of our plants, they're well lit, they're safe. The machines are got safety systems coming out all directions. And if you look at like a video of the new Tesla plant in Fremont or in Texas, it's got white floors, bright lighting, like it's nothing like that picture stuck in our head. Well, that is the revitalization. It's taking companies from that dingy, grungy old picture that everyone's got stuck in their head to this new high-tech, great place to work. And that is the process that these companies are going through, and a lot of companies will go through in the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it will be great if all factories look like Tesla Gigafactory, all white and shiny. It would be really nice.
I have a lot of original Tesla employees that work for our firm, and they keep on begging me to never do white floors. They're so hard to keep clean.
Yeah, probably it is, but it looks nice on pictures and videos. So. Yeah. So, and you're saying that it is important to local communities to invest in what was known as low jobs. Why do you think that we need to invest to think about this?
So manufacturing specifically, unlike almost any other industry, has a very, very special superpower. When you go into a manufacturing plant, the barrier to entry to making a lot of money is very, very low. If you show up, you're a good worker, you pay attention, you take training as it's offered you. Manufacturer will train workers on site. They're not asking for massive educations as you enter the building. They pay well. And with the modern era of equipment and tech and ergonomics and process and all of these things that have come so far, these are no longer grueling jobs. So if we can go into a local community and one of the pillars of our company is we do everything we can to not have the facilities leave the community which they're in. because oftentimes, especially in smaller rural communities, a single manufacturing plant could actually employ a significant portion of the population. So if we can come in, increase employee wellness, make sure the jobs stay in that area. Now we've got employees leaving work, and instead of it being their bodies hurting or being grueling work, or they're exhausted, or they're not making enough money, so they're having to work multiple jobs, all of that. But instead, when someone goes home, they are rested, they're happy, they're fulfilled in their work. Think about what that person does when they go into their community. Instead of going home and sitting on the couch watching TV because they can barely move, they're going and coaching the local t-ball team. Or they're going something as simple as they're going to eat at a restaurant tonight. So the person who owns the restaurant and the person who works at the restaurant, they are making an income. So manufacturing companies have this special position where they can offer good paying work that can fulfill people, that has low barriers to entry, and still make great profit. So that's what we are so focused on, those communities and how they function as an aspect of our manufacturing companies. We actually went a step further. When we liquidate the private equity fund so that our investors can get their liquidation date, we are actually going to do it through 100% stock transfer to the employees. So the employees that live in those local communities will own the companies that operate there, so that in perpetuity, the people helping make the decisions of where those jobs will go and how they will function are the people that actually live in those communities. And this is an absolute pillar to the futures of, frankly, our country, our communities, our lifestyles, our way of life. If we can revitalize the jobs and the companies, the surrounding communities, and then the communities that touch those, all of them increase and end up in a much better place.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Maybe not in all industries it is possible, I think, because in some industries it would not pay off to pay workers a good salary so that they can go eat at restaurants, and instead of ordering certain things from out of the US. So do you think that there is maybe future to certain industries and maybe no hope for others?
I would disagree there. I think realistically, everyone can do a better job. I mean, surely by just treating your people well. I mean, nothing else. It costs nothing to actually care about the people and care about the company. So just that, if people aren't going home saying, I hate the company I work for every day, that alone revitalizes the community. So now manufacturing has a special spot that it can do it with a lot more firepower, and it is the time in history that it has the best opportunity to do so. But I believe all industries can use this same playbook and execute on really helping people.
Yeah. So what is your process to make things more efficient?
That is a loaded question. So efficiency, when we really look at it, first and foremost, cleanliness. I mean, you'd be amazed how just being clean makes everybody more efficient and frankly feel better. If you work in a clean environment, all studies show you are happier. If you work in a dirty environment, it drags you down. But there's a lot of tools that we use. First off, we're always looking for ways to include new tech. You'd be amazed how many companies are running on technology that's 30 years old. The last 5 years have been a little bit crazy in the whole advancement of technology. And what's happening is the cost of it is drastically plummeting. So we always are looking for any place that is adding physicality to a worker's job. Can we use some mechanism, some tool, some robot, some anything to take that strain off of their bodies? That is the first piece. Because if somebody's body isn't tired, they are more efficient. So we're not reinventing space and time here. It's really looking at the simple building blocks that do this. And where we get our massive growth is the simple laws of compounding interest. Is we make the person a little less tired. We make sure that there's a little bit more quality of machinery. We're making them happier any way we can. I mean, we try to do as many just barbecues, hangouts, just, hey guys, we just want to, this is something to enjoy. You spend more than a third of your life at work, and most people dread Monday morning. That is crazy. So how do you make it so? I've got an employee, he started with us probably 5-6 years ago. And when he started with us, he had worked at a factory his whole life, and he had kind of been, his body was sore. And he just, that company always had problems between management and operations employees. And just, it was not a happy place to be. So the first year or two that he worked with us, he's very reserved, very locked down, and wouldn't really talk to anybody, just kind of came in, did what he wanted and left. Well, over time, we softened him up. And we actually, he took some time off because of COVID, and he comes back in one day and he goes, my wife says I'm a happier person when I come to work, and I agree with her. So he's supposed to have retired for 3 years now. And he goes, this place adds value to my life. I want to keep, and we're like, hey, we love having you. You're awesome. But to watch that transition from kind of a jaded, hard individual to a team player who's saying, this is part of my family and my life here. That's when you know it's working. And now we have the biggest advocate in the building, because he's like, hey, I used to be crusty and jaded, but I'm telling you, just listen, things actually work when we relax a little bit.
Yeah, it must be so rewarding to hear such words from an employee.
It really is. It's one of those times that you're sitting there going, wow, it works.
Yeah. So, Jason, what would you recommend to our listeners who are planning to start their businesses and who are maybe at this point where they don't know where to start, they don't know what is important and what is less important? What would you recommend as a mentor? What is, the most challenging thing? What is what to start with?
So the first and foremost thing that you got to do, put a date down that you're going to start. Okay. It's there. You will never outthink your business plan. You will never get it perfectly right. So just put a date so that you create some sense of urgency. Now, if you choose that date is 2 years from next Tuesday, fine, whatever you want it to be, but write the date down, and then go start trying to find people who've done it before and tell them, here's my date. I need to have it figured out by then how to start. That will create urgency in you. That will create urgency in anybody willing to help you. That'll get rid of people who are not going to be of help to you. Because if they start saying, oh, you can't do it by that day, you won't do it that day, it's going to fail by that day. Tell those people, unless you highly respect their opinion and they've done this a million times, push those people aside, because you just created a way to filter out who's actually there to help you and who's there aiming for you to fail. And I see this with young or early entrepreneurs all the time. They can't filter out what people's motivations are. And you need to wrap your mind around that. Is why is this person saying it to me? And what motivates this person? And all too often, people who've never started a business before, the reason why is because of fear. And no, but it could fail. I could lose everything. Fine. But if you've already committed to do it, don't listen to those people. That is their motivating factor, is the fear. You want to be around people who their motivating factor is winning and getting to the top of that list. So go find those people. And when you tell them I'm doing it on this date, you'll watch the change in how they respond to you. And that is incredibly important, that if somebody turns to you and goes, you want to get it done by next month? Okay, well, the only way you're going to be able to do that is these 5 things. Good, go do those 5 things right away. But the date is what does it, is I am committed to pulling it off by this date. And I will tell you, the closer that day gets, the more nervous you're going to get, because you're like, okay, am I really ready for this? But just do it and just figure it out and push on to the next one.
Yeah. I think that it is a great advice for everything in life. If we're hesitating to do anything, just put a date in and, ask someone how to do it and start doing it. Yeah, I think that actually it is great, because many problems are connected with our inner doubts and imposter syndrome. Oh, maybe can I do it? Do I have enough knowledge and experience to do this?
And I will say, other than a handful of my friends and acquaintances at some of the top levels of business in the world, other than them, or even of them, most of them still deal with imposter syndrome. Most of them still deal with uncertainty. Most of them still deal with fear. I've seen billionaires worried. It doesn't go away. Who you are surrounded by and who you're working with and how you deal with that feeling when it comes up are what really changes it. They don't go, everyone's like, oh, one day I'm going to not feel these. Oh no, you're going to feel all of them. And there's going to be days you're going to feel them all at the same time. And we've had this where we are elated, happy, amazing. I get news that we've just landed millions in contracts, this and that. Get a phone call that a plant caught on fire. And you're just like, which one, like, what emotion do I get? And then I am very fortunate that my team is very, very strong. I highly trust, respect, and love all of my GPs. But we are nothing alike. And that's what makes us special. We all know what each other's emotional triggers are. We all know what each other's downfalls are. We all know what each other's high sides are. And we watch for each other. Because when uncertainty is creeping in, I've got a team around me. And I internalize a lot of stuff. I take things very much, I'm going to take them on. And I'll watch them circle around me and go, Jason, you're internalizing. Let's bring this back out. Or another person is like, hey, you take losses very roughly. So when we have a loss, I know I need to give you a little extra time to say, it's not you, it's just part of the game. So really the feelings don't go away, but you can build the tools to deal with them. And that is incredibly important, because if you get scared one day and you've got all this fear because, oh, I'm going to lose the company or something. If you keep on going down that spiral, you will lose the company. If someone on your team turns to you and goes, hey, this is just like in 2008, markets dropped out. We picked up all sorts of new clients because of it. That change is what you need.
Yeah, it is so inspirational. I think that definitely all entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, the beginners need to adopt this mindset to deal with challenges, to not to worry too much, and to make lemonade out of lemons that life gives you. Yeah. So Jason, thank you so much for all the tips and ideas that you shared on our show. If our listeners want to contact you, want to reach out, ask you a couple of questions, where can they find you?
The absolute best place is going to be mrca.net. There are links on there if you're interested in investing in our fund. Please, for accredited investors, go check it out. We're doing some really cool stuff on that side. If you want to just talk to me or pick my brain or ask questions, there's a contact form on there. There's also a way on there to schedule a private meeting with me. Like I said, we truly function ourselves from a place of we share, we help with information. So you have access to me or any of the other GPs right there, and we will take the meetings and we can talk about anything. If it's, hey, I'm just starting out my business, I have no clue what I'm doing, or hey, I've been running my business for 20 years and I something weird's going on. Can I run it by you? We're there. We from the website. You're more than welcome. Schedule a meeting. We'll take it. We'll talk it through.
Perfect. So we'll put the link under our episodes in the show notes, so that if someone is interested in investing or in reaching out, they can click the link immediately. Thank you so much, Jason, for being on Ideas and Leaders. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening to Ideas and Leaders podcast. Did you enjoy this episode? Let me know that you listened by tagging me in your LinkedIn profile and using a hashtag Ideas and Leaders. See you in the next episode.